So today we're going to walk through a 1040EZ. I've already put in the name and address, which should definitely be in there, of course, for our fictional character's return here. Here is his W-2. It's for Herbie Bookbinder. He works for Seattle Green Bean Candies. Okay, yeah, this is just the school address. Wages and tips box 1, a nice round salary of 48,000, although notice that it's lowered from his Social Security and Medicare wages because he had some retirement money going in. And all of that was lowered by an FSA, so he had a flexible spending account as well. Here's his income tax withheld, etc. So we can see his W2 there. I definitely need to make sure I put the Social Security number in. That's why I intentionally left that off, to remind us to make sure we absolutely put that in. It's a nice way to get it returned. So without having to process. So we got the Social Security number. He's a single person. We'll assume that for today. So no spouse, no spouse's name, and no kids, which is why he can do an EZ form. Okay, single or married would work. Well, we have this single box one here of 48,000 for his taxable wages. Again, he already did a little bit of a retirement fund contribution, so therefore he lowered his taxable wages. So we're going to put in 48,000. Now, this side here would be normally the pennies and cents, but actually, they don't really want us to use that anymore. We should always round to the nearest dollar. Taxable interest, I didn't actually print up a little form here, but let's say that he made $25 worth of taxable interest. We're not making a lot nowadays. Interest rates are a little bit low at the moment. We only had one W-2, so we're going to assume he wasn't unemployed at all during the year either. And he's clearly not a citizen of Alaska, which is a whole special thing there. I could put a 0 in here, or I can leave it blank. For now, I'm just going to leave it blank. Personal preference. Okay. Of course, we need to do this. Add lines 1, 2, and 3. Granted, if one of these numbers is 0, we'll simply go in and add 48,000 and $25. No problem there. Okay. We want to see if somebody can claim you, meaning Herbie. Can someone claim Herbie as a dependent? Well, he's making $48,000 a year. It sounds like a pretty nice, solid middle-class income. Okay, maybe a little bit tougher in Seattle, but it's not bad. He's definitely not dependent upon anyone else. So therefore, since he's not dependent, he will not check these boxes. It says to check the boxes below if someone can claim you as a dependent. If no one can claim you, meaning you are independent, we'll enter 10,150 if a single person, which in this case Herbie is, or it'd be double that at 20,300 if he was doing a married filing jointly return. He is single. There we go. Now it's going to tell us to subtract line 5 from line 4. That shouldn't be all so bad. We will go ahead and clear this out. And we'll start typing in the 48,020. Oops. $48,025. That's his adjusted gross income minus his standard deduction because he is a single person. Actually, it includes his standard deduction and his exemption. Our taxable income for Herbie is now, 38,000. I accidentally closed it out, didn't I? Okay, $37,875. I meant to leave that up there for you. Alrighty, now we're going to go down to where it says federal income tax withheld from the Form W-2 and 1099. In this case, we didn't show any Form 1099s, but it would be very straightforward. In fact, it would be as straightforward as here. Let's go ahead and raise this up for him for a moment, where it says federal income tax withheld. The exact same words that it shows on the W-2 in box 2, federal income tax withheld. So hopefully the fact that these two match will work pretty well. Our federal income tax withheld is 2349.49, so we're going to just drop the 0.49 and put just the 2349, remembering that I said earlier we'll drop pennies and cents. Earned income credit, non-taxable combat pay, we're not doing anything with those in this case. His income is above this ability, and there's no reference to him being a soldier. In fact, he got paid by his Green Bean Company. All right, Line 7 and 8, hey, well, if we add those up, that's like having a 0 plus 2349, so it just repeats. Now we're down to our tax. And we need to use the amount on line 6. Well, his taxable income, not his total income, but his taxable income is $37,875. So we need to open up the tax table for that. So here's our tax table. You might remember we have single, married, filing jointly. Well, he's single, so we'll go down the single column. And his income was $37,875. 37,875 happens to fall in between these two numbers here. So as we go across, this is between these two, and he's in the first column being single, $5,325 is how much tax he owed for the year. So we will put in the 5325. 5325 goes up here. Now what's interesting is we're not going to do the healthcare individual responsibility because we saw on his W-2, for example, that he's already contributing to a health flexible spending account, so we know he's definitely got health insurance, and we'll just assume in this case that he's not going to have the penalty for that. Add lines 10 and 11, turns out my 5325 will work because it was that number plus 0. So now we need to find out, is he getting a refund, or oops, does he owe? Well, they ask if line 9 is larger than 12. Is line 9 larger than 12? The answer is no. So we're going to skip that. That means he's not getting a refund. If we go down here, if the first one was not true, this one has to be true. If line 12 is larger than 9, well, line 12 is larger than 9. Therefore, we now do what they tell us to do. Subtract line 9 from 12. So we can take our 5325 minus 2349, and we can see that we're going to owe $2,000, or Herbie owes $2,976. So he might want to change his W-4 for next year to have them take more tax out. In fact, this amount might even be large enough to get a penalty, but we're not going to worry about that part for now. In fact, even if there is a penalty for underwithholding, the IRS will just send him a bill for it. All right, in this case, we found out that he owes, and one thing to be very careful of is here's the refund, here's owing. Please understand that you'll never both have refund and owe. It'll be one or the other. And by reading the first part, if line 9 is larger or line 12 is larger, you should be able to determine which one it is. All right, good luck with that.